What's up, my peeps? Now I'm just gonna start focusing on self-help videos. So today's video will be about how to relieve anxiety and stress, the first step, through desensitization. Okay, so that sounds like a long word, but let me back up for a minute though. Anyway, I talked with baby Yoshi, and at first, if you follow me on Instagram, you could see that Yoshi didn't want me to just stop making vlogs with him, so I did get some feedback from some people, and they seemed to suggest that I should just make videos without Baby Yoshi. But anyway, the way I convinced Baby Yoshi was I said, okay, listen, if we please people and give them what they want, and right now it seems my target audience, which is about like middle through high school, they don't really want Baby Yoshi vlogs. So I said, I finally convinced him that since he originally wanted to get famous and pay off his mom's debt, I said that maybe if I do good, I can pay off your mom's debt. Well, anyway, that's okay. Enough about that. So now I'll go back. Oh, let me make a disclaimer, legal disclaimer. I'm not a psychologist or a trained professional, so any advice I give in this video is just my opinion. Okay, so now back to desensitization. So first, D, that prefix is the opposite of sensitization. So what is that? So when we do get nervous, like I kind of am now, because now I suddenly got self-conscious, and when I get so to explain, I'll just give an example of how I became sensitized, or an example of sensitization. I'll just start talking about how I became sensitized during grade school. Okay, so I would say maybe around 5th grade. Was it 5th? Yeah, I think it was 5th grade. I started getting a lot of headaches. My mom took me to see the doctor, and the doctor was kind of worried to see if I was concerned to see if I have a brain tumor, because I just would get these headaches, and then at the time I think I was taking Advil, and those stopped working, and I'll just keep getting headaches. And so finally I got a CAT scan, okay, and the radiologist looked at my brain scans. After I sat under the machine, I had to sit still for like 30 minutes, and I think I was like 9 at the time. But anyway, I sat still without a problem, and the radiologist, after the CAT scan was done, looked at my brain paper scan things. It had a lot of color, and it basically indicated that he just basically said, I think too much. And so anyway, though, now looking back at it, I know that during 5th and 6th grade, I started worrying a lot about being a loner and being picked on and getting made fun of. And then in middle school, and middle school for me started in 7th grade, people would start making fun of my voice and how I talk slow. And right now I am making a little attempt to talk a little faster, because I notice when I do try to talk a little faster, it's easier for me to pay attention to my videos. Okay, so anyway, in middle school, so some of the kids started making fun of my voice. Some would say, like, say something, and I would say why, and then they would laugh. Okay, so anyway, in middle school, I started fearing talking slow and sounding nervous because I would make fun of the way I sound, or I would try to, not sound how I normally sound. So anyway, after a series of going through middle school, I would be afraid of getting called on in the class because then I have to speak, and then people would hear my voice and they might laugh at it. And I didn't have too much friends. I would kind of try to, gravitate toward, it kind of sounded bad, but I would gravitate toward trying to be friends with geeks, I guess, or because then I figured out, like, at least, they should be my friend because they're kind of an outcast. Okay, anyway, so example of sensitization, going on and on, talking about this. So anyway, blanking out again, it's okay. So anyway, sensitization, when I get nervous, so I fear talking slow, and so by continuing throughout basically middle school and kind of high school, I was afraid of being slow and talking slow. And so always I would try to change my voice maybe, or try to be faster. And also I started just being afraid of looking nervous. And so then, I would try to look normal, not nervous. And so after all that time, all those years in middle and high school, you could say now I became sensitized to the fear of talking slow and to the fear of looking nervous or sounding nervous. So now so that basically means when I'm sensitized to those fears, I will have a stronger nervous reaction to those fears, than somebody who didn't really suffer with so severe anxiety. So that's what sensitization basically means. I'll feel the fear a lot more intensely, so I might feel extra nervous and tense. And so anyway, so that's sensitization. And so anyway, that's just right now my story. I guess I'll get into more about, so this video then, it's just, so I hope you understand the concept of sensitization. Okay, so if I am, the way somebody could get sensitized to anxiety is if they start treating their anxiety as if it's a predator. Okay, there is the fear. I mean, there is something psychologists refer to as the fight or flight response. And so basically, if we consider like an animal in the wilderness, okay, and then they come across some prey or some predator and they're the prey, and so now, okay, they're going to go into survivor mode, and so if they feel they can take on the predator, they're basically going to try to fight it, and if they think the predator is too big and scary, they're going to flee. Okay, so the same thing applies to how I can get sensitized to anxiety. If I treat my nervous self like a predator and I try to fight it, and the way I was trying to fight it is trying to look and sound normal, not trying to be nervous. So that's me trying to fight it, or I would try to run away from it by avoiding talking to people, by staying quiet because I didn't want people to hear my voice and make fun of me. Okay, so that is what I call action fear and hate. Or, I mean, just in that example, action fear. So the action fear is actions that I take to my fears. So let's just say, okay, I feared looking nervous, or I fear sounding nervous. So this is just what I call the thought fear. So, okay, I might have this fear and have a adrenaline release through my nerves, and then I feel nervous, okay? But now how I will be sensitized to this fear, or how I will intensify the fear, is if I start, acting like the prey in the jungle, and adding, getting into the fight or flight response. So if I basically treat myself like a predator, my nervous self, by always, trying to either fight it, by not trying to look or sound nervous, or I run away from it by just being quiet and trying to avoid social situations so people won't hear my nervous voice. Those are actions. So those are what I call the action fears. So I sensitized myself to the fear of talking slow or sounding nervous and looking nervous throughout throughout middle and high school, basically, because I would add action fear. Okay, so I was treating my anxiety like a predator. Okay, so anyway, that is the concept of sensitization. I hope it makes sense. And then how you sensitize yourself to a fear is by adding action hate, or treating it like a predator. You put yourself in the fight or flight response. You're trying to fight your fear or your anxiety, or you just run away from it and try to avoid all situations that get you anxious. So that's today's video. So, next we'll talk about now desensitization. So that is so I talked about sensitization. So now, okay, I did this to myself in middle school and high school. So now how do I start feeling less nervous and less sensitized? I'll talk about that in my next video. Okay, so I hope this helps, and if you're curious or you have some anxiety problems and would like to find out tips how you can naturally, without pharmaceuticals, just mental exercises. If you want to find out how to relieve anxiety, just keep watching these upcoming videos, and be sure to subscribe, and leave comments too. I'd appreciate any feedback. Is this helpful? Let me know. Okay, bye. Goodbye.